I just got a DM on here from a girl that said, I have lost my job. Here's a GoFundMe link. Any donations help. You know what else would help you? Getting another job. In the time that it took you to copy and paste the same ass message to myself and probably 100 other influencers and celebrities, you could have applied for 100 other jobs, but you didn't because you're a lazy piece of shit and you're entitled. I'm not helping you. Welcome to the real world.
Welcome to the real world, which, James, he's not a part of. He had the luxury that when he got cancelled and couldn't post for a few months, he was able to just wait for people to forget and then say to Cosmo, let's make an article about, please, uncancel me. What about that is the real world?
Of course, the internet is forever. And now a lot of content creators are using like the 5-second clip in the very beginning to upload their cute little think pieces being like, influencers are all so out of touch. This is so disgusting. You don't know how hard it is in the job market these days. Oh my God, give me a fucking break.
No. Hey guys, it's Briar and let's chat about it. Well, it seems like this is becoming an annual thing. We do this every year because once again, in the month of May, James Charles has done yet another diabolical thing to add to the list of diabolical behaviors where it almost seems like he is insisting on making this a pattern of behavior and proving to the internet and his audience that he does not learn from his past. And so, yeah, we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about the 2026 edition of this diabolical behavior, but also do a bit of a walk down memory lane, as well as have those much beloved bigger yaps. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and let's get into it. So a little roadmap, a table of contents, if you will, so that we are in fact on the same wavelength. We're going to start up front with the 2026 diabolical event that was James Charles's chaotic, bizarre, and quite frankly unnecessary rant and multiple apologies that he posted on TikTok just a couple of days ago. And we will obviously go through the reaction and the response to this most recent situation. But then I thought after we do that, why not do a little bit of a speed round? Hey, stop laughing. I know I waffle on a little bit, but okay, I can't promise, but I will try my very best to be as quick as I possibly can in just refreshing our memories, going down memory lane of this decade's worth of diabolical behavior and how at this point the excuse of James Charles being young or making a one-off mistake simply does not cut the mustard, because this is now repeated patterns of behavior, and I do feel like it is relevant, important, all that kind of stuff, context for this conversation. So we will do that little memory lane trip after that, and then I don't know, maybe we'll have some bigger yaps at the end. I'm sure we'll get lost along the way, but that's kind of the table of contents, so we're on the same page. And I must say, I could feel it in my waters that something diabolical had gone down on social media. I feel like that is the word of the day, word of the video, diabolical. It is one of my favorite words, to be fair, especially when you follow up the word diabolical with lemon-scented. If you know, you know. I truly could feel it in my waters that something diabolical had happened on social media, because the day that all of this went down, we're yelling timber, I was out with a friend. I was socializing. A rare act for me, but it's true. Sometimes I do that. I literally, when I came home and I finally sat down to open my social medias, I literally thought to myself, okay, what have we missed? What's the 411? Shablam, Briar, you've missed a lot. And so I did in fact miss these videos being uploaded to TikTok, but thankfully the divas on Reddit who are working 24/7, Christian work ethic, uploaded these videos to Reddit. So we do in fact have the original rant video to react to, as well as the first apology that he deleted before uploading the now public apology. Because one thing about James is that he does like to double down before actually apologizing, and this seems to be no exception to that pattern of behavior. But yes, what do we say? Yeah, thank you, Reddit. But I think honestly we should just get into the videos and get into the rant that started this all. The rant that James Charles chose to post to his spam TikTok account, James Charles LOL, and kept up until, I mean, as you'll see why, he didn't quite receive the response that maybe he thought he would. So let's just start with that video now, shall we?
I just got a DM on here from a girl that said, "Good morning, James. I know you'll probably never see this, but if you could just take 1 minute to read it would really mean a lot to me. I'm really struggling right now because Spirit Airlines just filed for bankruptcy and I have lost my job. Here's a GoFundMe link. Any donations help." I'm sure they do, sweetheart. I'm sure they do. You know what else would help you? Getting another job. Yeah, try that. Because in the time that it took you to copy and paste the same fuck-ass message to myself, who you don't follow, by the way, and probably 100 other influencers and celebrities, you could have applied for 100 other jobs, but you didn't because you're a lazy piece of shit and you're entitled.
So much to react to. It's very much giving, it seems like nobody wants to work these days. The actual visceral disdain that James has for this person is well and truly concerning. The fact that he is being so nasty and condescending towards a stranger is just really concerning, but I also think it should be very telling to his audience. And I feel like I will just pause here to kind of talk about the DMing of it all, the DMing in of itself, because I do think that this portion of it kind of almost acts as like an excuse for James's behavior that we will see and have started to see already. And this disdain, you can think, I would not DM a celebrity, and no one is entitled to an influencer or a celebrity's money. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that this is quite a commonplace thing in DMs of celebrities and influencers. But there was absolutely no reason to bring this online, and there is absolutely no reason to be so rude and think so little of someone and make so many assumptions, right? The assumption is this person is not also applying for jobs, which now they're going to be in competition with like basically everyone that they worked with, because like 17,000 people were laid off. So that is going to make the job market incredibly difficult. And I think it's fair to say, no, I wouldn't DM an influencer or a celebrity to ask for money, or that probably isn't the best point of action or the best use of your time. However, that doesn't mean you get to look down on them as a person, because they're probably very stressed and going through a really hard time, and you're basically crashing out over it. But anyway, let's continue with the video, shall we?
And you think that influencers and celebrities should fund your life for you. Why would I ever help you? You're not a fan. You don't even follow me. You've never supported me. This is your first time DMing. And you think that I'm gonna send you money because you lost your job? Oh my God, welcome to the real world, sweetheart. People lose their jobs every fucking day, and you're white, pretty, and able-bodied. You're in a much better position than a lot of other people out here who are trying clearly much harder to make a better life for themselves. Why would I fucking help you?
Mind you, this is coming from an influencer who has only ever been an influencer. And when they got cancelled, just sat around, didn't post for a few months, waited for people to forget what happened, and then did an interview with Cosmo magazine to ask to be please be uncancelled because he's now launching a makeup brand. That was his career plan. His career plan was to just stay an influencer and wait out for people to forget why they didn't like him. And as we will talk about later, it does not seem like that time was spent reflecting and growing and learning from that behavior, because clearly, as we can see now, there is a huge disdain from him on people in the real world, where you could argue that James Charles has not ever really been a part of the real world. Because all of those people who lost their jobs, no, they can't sit and wait out being cancelled and go back into the same career making loads of money. Like, that is not a viable plan for most people. And the actual privilege that he has to continue to make so much money after showing so much bad behavior and disregard and selfishness. This is the public behavior that is being demonstrated. That is a very scary reward system we are seeing being set up for people that become influencers and don't ever see the value of working a minimum wage job and having struggles and adversity that you just never touch when you become an influencer at such a young age. And that's clearly now shown by the way he looks down on this person and thinks that that could never happen to him, and probably also thinks that he proportionately works hard to the rewards that he receives, having no real clue of what it is actually like losing your job and having that real financial risk. Yes, you could say he lost his job when he got cancelled, but he still had the backup of AdSense. He still had the backup of having that Morphe collab. He still had the luxury to be able to wait out being cancelled and then go on and launch his makeup brand and reintroduce himself as an influencer. Like, to me, that is truly diabolical lemon scented. That is his career, yet he is giving this advice and looking down on people so critically. And also, to me, what was really bizarre and concerning is the amount of disdain that he had for just like being selfless and altruistic in general. Now, I'm not saying that means that people are entitled to your money or that you should give people money every time they DM you. The fact that there is so much disdain for the idea of helping other people when you're in a place to do so, like, that's kind of succinctly and eloquently, I would put that belief and mindset. And is also a really concerning outcome, I think, of becoming an influencer so young and having the rewards be so great. That combined with the behaviors and mindsets that James has demonstrated over the past decade is a really bad combination and has clearly led him to believe that anyone could be where he is. And so there is no need or consideration for helping others. Not saying that he doesn't, but the reaction to the idea of being altruistic was so like, he was so like, helping other people? What? Why would you suggest that? I cannot believe it. But I know this was a big yap break. I'm sorry. There's just so much to react to, and it's actually genuinely shocking to me. Like, I'm not hamming it up for the camera. I was genuinely and am genuinely shocked watching this video and watching the behavior, the mindset, and like the general disdain. That's my second favorite word for the video, I think, that he has in such a short video. This video is only 2 minutes 30 seconds and we're only 1:12 seconds in, so I better shush.
Aside from that, 17,000 people lost their jobs at Spirit Airlines. Why do you think you need the GoFundMe? I can at least like 1% respect the mentality of closed mouths don't get fed, doesn't hurt to try. But honestly, it does hurt to try because now you pissed me off, okay? I'm not the one. Go find fucking Mr. Reese. This is literally his entire shtick. I'm sure the next YouTube video is literally gonna be like, I rehired all 17,000 of the Spirit Airlines employees and it's gonna be the real life Hunger Games. The last one of them to leave the Spirit Airlines plane gets to be the CEO of the new company and gets a house and a car and $10 million that everybody else dies.
What an odd thing to say. Like, how, this is what I mean by his reaction to selflessness. And I'm not saying that Mr. Beast is like wholly selfless, but he does give a lot away, even though yes, it's for content and he makes loads of money out of it. Like, the fact that he's like, I'm not the one, I'm not the giver. Go to Mr. Beast and like makes fun of the concept or the idea of someone helping all of these people or wanting to help all of these people. And it's also like, James, you're so close to having the answer. It's not that this person is saying or thinking that they are better than anyone else or above anyone else in their company, but I would imagine that the panic and the stress of not just losing your job, but now knowing how oversaturated the job market is going to be because 17,000 other people also lost their job. Like, yeah, you would be very stressed knowing that you're already going into a difficult job market. On top of that, there are so many other people also going for these jobs. You're probably trying to grapple with the fact that you might not get a job for a while and that this could be a very stressful and serious situation, not just for that person that DM'd them, but for all of those people. And the fact that all James can do is make fun of them and say, oh, Mr. Beast is going to make a video out of it because he's so cuckoo bananas, blah. Give me a break.
Like, go find that video to compete in, baby. I'm not helping you. I'm not fucking helping you. All you did was lost your job, okay? Welcome to the real world.
Welcome to the real world, which, James... No, he's not a part of. He had the luxury of having so much money that when he got cancelled and couldn't post for a few months, he was able to just wait for people to forget and then say to Cosmo, let's make an article. Let's do something crazy together. Make an article about, please uncancel me. I'm releasing makeup. What about that is the real world? What about that is most people's reality? Yes, most people can't start social media, but for the bajillion and one people trying to be an influencer for a day, there is such a small amount of people that actually get there. It's kind of like an MLM, but without the recruitment, I guess. But I really wanted to also pause right here, right now, because I really want to emphasize and people to listen to the amount of reasons and things that you would have to meet for him to consider helping you. Okay, ready?
I could at least understand if you were like, James, I'm a longtime fan. Here's a trillion years of DMs and my support for you. I love you. I'm suffering with a really rare genetic disease that there is no cure for, and I'm trying to raise money for myself and other people that have this. Maybe I would help. Maybe I would help because I love you and I appreciate you.
Maybe he would help if you were a longtime fan, trillions of DMs. I'm guessing that includes supporting him regardless of his behavior online. You have an incurable disease and you are selflessly raising money for yourself and others. Then maybe he would think about it because he loves you. Oh my God, I literally can't. I just like the fact that there is that many levels for him to consider being helpful, selfless, kind, giving. I hope his audience and people that still support him or his brand really hear that. I really, really do. And I don't mean it in like a snarky kind of way. I mean it in a genuine and sincere way. That is the person you're supporting. That is the person you're funding this lifestyle for. That is the brand you are giving money to. That is how he thinks about you. But anyway, can we finish the video? I'll try.
This bitch, you lost your fucking job? Oh. What are we gonna do? Nothing. I'm gonna do nothing. You know what you need to do? Go find a fucking new one, girl. Put some effort into the workplace.
I feel like that baby or the toddler in the car seat, like, to quote Billie Eilish, I don't relate to you. I don't relate to you. No. I can never imagine having that kind of a reaction to someone. I'm truly, genuinely, like, thought experiment time. Let's imagine we're super rich and successful. Wouldn't it be nice? I wish we were all the Chattinators were super rich and successful. But let's imagine. And because of that, and because we flaunt this lifestyle on social media, constantly, by the way, a really strange consequence or outcome of that is people every day DM us asking for money, sending GoFundMes. I still can never relate to or understand this reaction. I can understand feeling frustrated or feeling like people maybe are entitled or that people only see you as money. But isn't that such a privileged and nicer problem to have over the thousands of people that have lost their job at Spirit, and just in general, so many people that are stressed about their jobs, their money, their life? Like, the fact that your problem I'm sorry, I should have said this before. I was gonna try to not get heated. When I talk about James, I do get heated. I'm sorry. Okay, we're bringing it down. Calm, oceans, puppies. Okay, calm. Okay. The fact that your problem, no, that was not calm. I feel like I'm usually really good at being calm because I don't want like me acting like weird, angry New Zealand lady. I don't want that to detract or minimize my really good thoughts that I'm thinking and just the general conversation. So, okay, we're trying. This is me trying. That is such a privileged problem to have. That's the best we're going to get, I think. What a privilege that your problem is that people know how you have made so much money for yourself that in that desperate time, they do turn to you. Is that a weird kind of reality and strangeness from social media? Yes. But if that is your problem, how lucky are you? And so how out of touch for you to then rant and yell on social media and show all of this disdain, to show that this really ruined your day. You're not the one. Don't mess with you. Don't ask you for help. Gosh forbid. That is just such a bizarre reaction to the whole situation and so unjustified. We see this pattern of he can't help himself, and when he gets comfortable again, this guy comes out. This like ranty, just better than everyone else, like condescending person comes out over the just most Gwen Stefani BANANAS crap. But so that was the first video that he posted, and as we know, he's taken it down. In typical James Charles fashion, he actually posted 2 apologies. However, the first apology he took down because it was more of an apology as opposed to like a sincere sorry apology. I think we also see this behavior a lot. We also see James's initial reaction and response to people disagreeing with him is to stand 10 piggies down, to double down. I don't want the feedback. And it's a very clear pattern of behavior that his initial response is never, this take is wrong, or maybe I should listen to other people. Maybe I should learn something from this. His initial response is always, boo, you guys stink, tomato, tomato. Watch me double down. So let's watch him double down, shall we? And also, as we were saying before, thank you Reddit for this video. Thank you.
So I ended up deleting the video that I posted yesterday talking about people who send me GoFundMe links that have never followed, supported, DM me before, just begging for money. And most people were like enjoying the video, saying it was a valid point, but it definitely started causing some discourse in the comments, and a lot of people were just saying it was out of touch and insensitive, and they're right.
Most people were agreeing. I guess we'll never know because the video's being deleted, but there were some people saying it's out of touch, but that was like the minority. If that's the case, then why are we deleting it? If we, as we will see in this video, he does believe it, and believe him when he says he believes it. So let's see why he's insensitive and out of touch, shall we?
It was definitely a harsh choice of words, maybe not my best video, and I deleted it. But of course the internet is forever, and now a lot of content creators are using like the 5-second clip in the very beginning where I'm like, you're a lazy piece of shit, get a new job, to upload their cute little think pieces being like, influencers are all so out of touch. This is so disgusting. You don't know how hard it is in the job market these days. Oh my God, give me a fucking break.
No, I will not give you a break, James, because you should know from the amounts of screenshots of you sending inappropriate pictures to underage boys on social media. You should know that the internet is forever, actually, and you should have learnt this lesson by now. So don't all of a sudden be like, oh, it's people are using and twisting my words against me, and oh my gosh, people won't let it go even though I deleted it. You uploaded it unprompted. You were actually just flying under the radar. It looked like, oh, is he going to do it? Are we finally going to have a May where James isn't doing something diabolical? No. So no, James, I'm sorry, I won't actually be giving you a break, because those were your words that people are posting and that we are reacting to and that people are talking about, and you uploaded it to social media. And that's what I always find so baffling, and I think like a deeper reflection of, I don't know if James really wanted a conversation. I think James wants to upload content and have people agree with him and live in his bubble and just be validated and told he's right. He doesn't want to have a conversation. He doesn't want to have a conversation with its audience. He doesn't want to hear about how he's wrong. And I just find that really strange that that is how he perceives uploading content. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because you guys say really smart things. I always say it, but like the comment section, and I think just in videos and content in general, it always adds layers and like further discussion. And is whether or not you think you're doing it, what you're opening yourself up to, what you are starting on social media when you upload a video. You're starting a conversation, you're opening up a dialogue. And so it's really disingenuous to twist it around and be like, oh, people are reacting to what I posted on social media. Let's continue.
I am out of touch, first and foremost. Okay, I am never going to be one of those influencers that gets online and pretends to be poor so I can come across as relatable to my audience. I think it's tacky, I think it's annoying, and I also think it's quite insulting to the audience watching, as if you guys are going to be fooled into thinking that. You've been watching me for 10 years now. It's no secret that I have been able to find success doing what I've done. It didn't start that way though. I started from literally nothing and had a dream for myself and was determined to literally do anything to make it happen. And luckily, I've been blessed to be able to do that and now call this my full-time job.
Mind you, when he says he started with nothing, it's because he was a teenager, right? Like, I think most of us, when we were teenagers, started with nothing. Like, what do you mean? I'm, glad that he at least admits that he's out of touch, but it's not to the point of considering that makes his opinions and perspectives out of touch, because let's just call a spade a spade. James Charles has a lot of money. James Charles is very monetarily successful. And so he can't relate. He can't relate. And even if he lost his job, even if Painted was shut down tomorrow, even if this situation actually was the wake me up inside moment, he would still be fine. Like, James Charles has made so much money that if he lost everything social media wise, not money wise, he could still live off of that money probably forever. That's not anybody's reality. And I think what he doesn't connect the dots in that is that he cannot relate to the perspective of most people when they lose their job, of most people, the stress that would bring. So yes, you understand that you're out of touch and your lifestyle is out of touch, but that is also concerningly because you're an influencer with platforms that have tens of millions of followers on them, that has made your perspectives and the way that you look at people and treat people and look down at other people, that has also made you out of touch in that way too. Because I think, well, yes, when you reach that level of like wealth and money and security, it does make you out of touch. But that doesn't mean that you have to be out of touch with the world. It doesn't mean that you can't understand other people's perspectives and struggles and have empathy. You can't relate to that anymore in the literal sense, but to have no concept of empathy or perspective or any kind of compassion, that is the scarier side of him being out of touch. Not that he's super rich. I mean, that is a concerning side of like the social media stuff, but I think when you're an influencer with this big of a platform, it is really worrying. Anyway, let's continue.
The reason I made that video yesterday, though, was a lot of people these days do not have the make it work mentality. They have no desire to actually put in the effort to try to fix a problem and get themselves out of a situation. They immediately result in asking for help. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for help. In my personal opinion, though, it should be a last resort.
It just seems like nobody wants to work these days. Give me a break. James, have you learned nothing? There are so many assumptions being made about people without jobs, being made about people losing their job, being made about the fact that people are asking for help, being made about the fact that maybe these people don't have people in their life who can help them. Like, there's just so many assumptions, and they're always the least generous, the least considerate, the least compassionate. It's just this assumption of like, nobody wants to work these days. That's not true. And you've made so many assumptions to get there. I hope you guys don't mind that I'm being more ranty. Thoughts and opinions on Sassy Briar. We have Silly Briar. We have Calm Briar. This is clearly Sassy Briar. So, thoughts and opinions. Let's continue, shall we?
If you disagree, that's totally fine. That's your personal opinion. I'm not going to apologize for having mine. There's a lot of people responding back to the video being like, oh my gosh, he has no idea how hard the job market is. I've been applying for new jobs for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years now, and I've literally heard back nothing from any of the jobs. I'm sorry that that is happening to people. I know that the job market fucking sucks. I've heard so many horror stories. I can't even imagine what that's like. Those are the people, in my opinion, that are totally valid and asking for help. The person that I made the video about yesterday lost their job last week at Spirit Airlines, along with 17,000 other people. And granted, I don't know this person. Maybe making a GoFundMe link was really their last resort. I just personally do not believe that to be the case, because I know for a fact that they sent this same exact DM to hundreds of different influencers and celebrities. This person did not follow me. They have never DM'd me previously. They have never supported me on any social platforms. They have never purchased from Painted. This person was literally just spam copying and pasting this DM to every person that they assumed had money to offer them. And I'm sorry, just because somebody has money does not mean that you're entitled. I'm sorry if that comes across as insensitive or privileged or mean, but welcome to the real world. It's fucking hard out there. Nobody owes anybody anything. The universe will constantly remind you of that. And a little bit of effort goes a really, really long way sometimes.
It's really giving of like when boomers try to give advice on like buying a house, or like when millennials were constantly being told, oh, it's because you buy a latte or you go out on the weekends and have brunch that you can't afford a house. Like, that is how out of touch James is in this advice. Wait, 1 second. So according to Yahoo Finance, over 50% of people, 57% of people in 2025 were living paycheck to paycheck. So I know that James was being like, she just lost her job. If you're going by statistics, that can still be an immediately or very quickly incredibly stressful situation. And I'm not at all trying to say that that person, therefore the answer is, asking James Charles or influencers for money, or that people should feel entitled to getting money from influencers. But probably in that person's mind, they are trying. Do I think it's misguided and like a weird perception towards, influencers and money? Yes, and I could be naive, but I do kind of think like if you're in a place of having a GoFundMe and asking people for money, what kind of financial position would you be in? Like, to me, that says that that person is really crying out for help, really is like stressed. And no, that doesn't mean that was the right way to go about it. But I do just think like the fact that his reaction is disdain as opposed to any sort of compassion or empathy or consideration for how stressful so many people's lives are and how money is such a big stressor for so many people, that clearly just does not cross James's mind. Again, it's like you're so close to getting it. You're so close. You're so close to getting it. Of acknowledging that you're out of touch, but then not acknowledging or understanding what that reality is for most people and how stressful that would be for most people. He was saying that this is what he believes, and he's allowing other people, if you want to be nice and compassionate, whatever, you believe that, but that's not his belief. So I tend to believe this response as what he truly feels and what his true instinctual reaction is to the situation, before we get into the next video, but let's continue with this one.
I stand behind what I said 10 toes down. Instead of spending an hour copying and pasting the same DM to 100 different celebrities or influencers, you could have spent the same amount of time copying and pasting a job application to hundreds of different companies. Or, hear me out, put in a little bit of effort. If you want to send the DMs, at least spend 20 seconds before you hit send, customizing it to the person that you're asking for money from, right? Hi, sister. James, I've been watching your YouTube videos since I was a teenager. You really taught me how to do makeup and have positively impacted my life every single Friday. Hey, I'm in this shitty situation. Do you think that you could help? Probably would have gone a lot further than a generic message. Or instead of copy and pasting the same job application to hundreds of different companies, send in 10 job applications to companies that you really care about and you think you could fit in with, and then customize your application and your cover letter, letting these recruiters or hiring people know that you're the best candidate for this job and why they should want you on their team.
It's just beyond tone deaf. It's beyond the boomer bad take advice. This type of advice to me just tells me you've never had to apply for a job. If you had, you would know that is what you and hundreds, if not thousands of other people are doing. There are situations where there are so many people applying for jobs that it's like, if you don't get in the first day of application, too bad, so sad. And to just have no awareness of how competitive the job market is, how that is what everyone is doing. I'm sure there are people just copying and pasting, but I think most people who are applying for jobs are putting in that effort and doing it on a large scale and still having a really hard time. And I know that because I know people that have been in that situation. It's not some sort of figurative, theoretical idea. That is the reality. And this advice clearly shows you've never had to apply for a job. You have no idea what the job market is like, and your advice is not helpful and only proves further how out of touch you are.
I know putting in the extra work and effort probably feels useless when you know that you're in a sea of DMs or job applicants, but trust and believe, as somebody who's now on the other side of things, the little bit of extra effort does go a very long way, and unfortunately, taking the easy route is usually never going to work. That's just my 2 cents. just a word of advice. You can take it, you can leave it, it's all good. I just wanted to provide some more context on my video yesterday because I do not like how it's being twisted and taken out of context. It was definitely never my intention to undermine anybody who's trying to work and provide a better future for themselves, their family, and their loved ones. I just don't exactly think that that is what this person was trying to do, or at least the right way to go about doing it.
Well, lucky for James, and thank you again to Reddit, we were able to react to both of these videos in full. So don't worry, we didn't take them out of context, we're reacting to the whole situation, and I know that it maybe does feel a bit more long-winded, but that is also why I often like to react to the whole video. That way you cannot argue that I've taken you out of context. You cannot say, ooh, what have you done here? You didn't include this thing. Well, this is the whole video. So anyway, let's now watch the video that is still uploaded. Yes, third time's a charm. I think a lot of people as well were like having a little bit of a silly theory that this second apology video, James is trying to act like this is his first apology video and filming it in a very similar manner to the other one. Does that make sense? I hope so. Basically, the speculation is that he's hoping people aren't noticing that this is the third video about it or the second apology by filming in a similar area and kind of, you know, trying to make it look as if it's just the one video. But as we know, thank you Reddit, it's not. It's a third video, second apology, and this video has 5.8 million views. So let's watch it, shall we?
Yesterday morning, I posted a video on this account talking about how a woman had lost her job at Spirit Airlines, and she sent me a message with a GoFundMe link asking me to donate. And the video is basically me yelling at the camera, being super upset and frustrated because this person had never followed me, never supported me before, and it was clear that she had basically copied and pasted this DM to every influencer and celebrity she possibly could, asking for a handout. And I called her lazy, I said she was stupid, and I said she should have spent the time that she spent copying and pasting the message, applying for jobs instead.
Definitely feel like it's important to note that that is the scene he is setting. I like to set a scene also, but I think we should be very mindful, process the scene that James has set here of like, this person who's never been a fan, never followed me, justification, sent me, copy and paste, justification, message that made me get very frustrated, get very upset, and yelled at the camera about it. So that's the scene that James is setting.
This video was fucking stupid. It was rude, it was obnoxious, it was privileged, and most importantly, it was completely fucking unnecessary. When I saw that DM, I absolutely had the choice to ignore it and say absolutely nothing at all and move on with my day. But instead, I couldn't even tell you why. Her message just triggered me, and I decided instead to make a video about it. And I bashed her, and it was obnoxious, and I shamed her for asking for help in a situation where she was clearly really struggling, and this could have been her absolute last resort. I have no idea what was going on in her life, and I should have never assumed that she was just copying and pasting this DM as an easy way out. I don't know.
Because we all know what they say about assuming. You look silly. And yeah, I mean, this is the insight that would have been so important a couple of days ago or whenever James read that message. If this was like a once off, this is like he's never snapped, he's never lashed out, he's never been rude. Like, I think you could be more forgiving of like, so you had a bad day. People would be more willing to give a little bit of space for that. But as I said, we'll continue to say, and we'll go over it later, this is time after time. This is again, another one. Thank you, bus, club, another club. So many examples of this attitude, this mindset, this behavior, the way that he talks to people that support him. Like, when is enough enough? Truly. But let's continue.
I just don't know. My intention behind making this video in the first place was I get a lot of messages like this every single day. And for me personally, it definitely sucks to receive messages from people that don't follow you and don't support you, treating you like our personal ATM or bank account. But what I'm sure sucks even fucking more is not knowing where your next paycheck is coming from and not being sure whether or not you're going to be able to put food on the table for yourself and your family. So it really doesn't matter what my intentions were behind making the video, because it came across as super fucking privileged and like I was basically shaming anybody that's unemployed for not trying hard enough to get a job. And I feel awful because that wasn't my intention and it really hurt a lot of people. And I know that it's not that easy. I know that the job market fucking sucks right now. I have friends that are looking for jobs. I have my own employees that I try my best to take care of. And I've heard so many fucking horror stories online of companies ghosting people, recruiters wasting everybody's time, people applying for job after job and not hearing back for 6 months, a year, 2 years. I know that it's really fucking hard out there and that most people are just doing their best and trying their best to figure it out and to make it by. And if this person happened to choose sending out GoFundMe links as their method of trying to make it by, who am I to judge? Especially when you consider the fact that my method of figuring it out and getting by was making makeup videos online. I just happened to get really lucky, and now, years later, I'm in a blessed and privileged position. But as somebody with a platform, it's my responsibility to humble myself and to never take what I have for granted. And when I made that video today, that is exactly what I did.
To me, what is so fascinating, but also makes me feel like this video is disingenuous, this is also a pattern of behavior that we see from James where he says or is exposed or whatever, does something outrageous, out of touch online. The first response is often doubling down. And then the second response, the first response was a double down, is this very PR, polished acknowledgement, taking accountability, very well worded response. And I think the reason that I can't believe this or buy what James Charles is selling at his "I'm sincere this time" apology stall is that I think I've seen this film before, and you go on to do the same behavior again and again. And that's why I can't buy it. That's why I struggle to believe that this is sincere. And I think also because we have seen time after time him do this song and dance and him do this back and forth of, oh, I made a mistake, and having a very eloquent response to the situation. But it's hard to buy it when it's happened so many times, and it's hard to believe it when however many hours ago saying that he stood 10 toes down on those opinions and that those are his belief and he's not changing his mind and you're entitled to your opinion but this is mine. Like, what happened between breakfast and dinner that made him change his mind so much and so drastically and in a sincere way? But let's continue, shall we?
I was speaking from a very privileged, obnoxious, ignorant standpoint, and for anybody that saw that video and was disappointed or upset with what I said, I am super sorry, especially to the woman from Spirit Airlines. I did try to look for her message earlier before making this video, and I couldn't find it. If you see this video and you want to get in touch, I would love to apologize to you directly and to help you out a little bit. But if you are not comfortable with that, I totally understand too. I really appreciate anybody that sent me a message or left a comment about this video today, letting me know how insensitive it was. I really needed to hear that, and I really need to think twice before I hit record and just start yapping on this account. I genuinely treat this spam page like I'm on FaceTime with you guys. I love to laugh and tell you stories and rant and scream at the camera and joke around with y'all, but sometimes I genuinely forget how many people are watching, and it was completely inappropriate to make a joke out of somebody just trying to provide for themselves and their family. That's definitely my bad.
So that is the apology video that still stands on his spam account, which has 2.8 million followers. And that was also the account that he posted the other 2 videos on as well. But to turn to the comments, one of the top comments is, "You think influencers, celebrities should fund your life, but we fund yours." Apology video number 7,300,000 blah 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 blah. "You may hear the job market is hard, but you will never know." And I think that is a very good point. He was saying that he had all of this knowledge. Like, he didn't say, "I have since learned," or "people have since told me how hard it is." He always had that knowledge and understanding in the noggin, but for some reason never applied it or never processed it to the point of considering the reality of that or considering how that makes other people's realities. And this comment and response is very interesting, and it says, "But it's almost like your fans fund your life, heart hands." And he responds saying, "This person was not a fan, nor are most of the people that send me DMs like this on a daily basis." In that response, you just can't help but feel like the remnants of the disdain and the remnants of that judgment. And it's like, yeah, that would be really strange that so many people that don't follow you message you, but I also think you can't infer that people don't watch you or haven't supported you because they don't follow you. Like, yes, that would be a pretty good indicator, but I do think, especially now on things like TikTok, like, you don't actually follow a lot of the people that you watch because your For You page just shows you their content. And I think that comment is just like that little hint of like, there is still that judgment or the validation of why he responded the way that he did. This comment really nails things on the head, and it says, I think that while you don't owe anyone money, you do owe people kindness. Yeah. But what is very interesting is that the top comment says, Jackie Asamoah hit the nail on the head regarding all of this. And he responds to it, yes, she definitely did. And if you guys don't know, that is Jackie Aina. I believe that Asamoah is her married last name. Let's go watch Jackie's video because, yeah, I think a lot of people agree that she nailed it on the head because this video has nearly 14 million views.
I just got a DM on here from a girl that said, good morning, James. I know you'll probably never see this, but if you could just take 1 minute to read it, would really mean a lot to me. I'm really struggling right now because Spirit Airlines just filed for bankruptcy and I have lost my job. Here's a GoFundMe link. Any donations help. I'm sure they do, sweetheart. I'm sure they do. You know what else would help you? Getting another job.
Jobless behavior, by the way. On his part, very jobless behavior on James Charles' part. James and I are considered peers. I'm a content creator. He's a content creator. I'm a founder. He is a founder. We are technically considered peers. I normally like to mind my business. I don't like to come after other creators. This is probably one of the, I thought this was fake. Is this fake? I don't think James has ever had a real job. I don't think he's ever had a job that isn't social media, that isn't an independent contractor. I don't think he's ever clocked in. I don't think he's ever had a W-2. I don't think he's ever done any of that. The way you're talking to this person shows, and it's very disgusting and it's very inappropriate.
You could have applied for 100 other jobs, but you didn't because you're a lazy piece of shit and you're entitled. And you think that influencers and celebrities should fund your life for you. Why would I ever?
James Charles, in 2026, the job market right now is the worst that it's ever been. And as bad as I envisioned this video being, as I kept watching it, it just got worse because what do you mean you're lazy?
And you think that I'm gonna send you money because you lost your job? Oh my God, welcome to the real world, sweetheart. People lose their jobs every fucking day.
I understand not wanting to be a bank. I understand not wanting to be treated like a disposable source of income all the time. I understand that. I get it. But not responding was also an option. A very respectable and easy option. You simply could have just not responded. It's the fact that you turn on your camera, you recorded this, seemingly sober, ? And you posted it. For what? You thought we was gonna be on your side? Absolutely not.
Cannot even imagine what Jackie and other content creators, how frustrating, exhausting. I'm tired of it, Grandpa. Like other content creators that put time, effort, hold themselves to a standard, want to do right, want to give back, want to care for their community. Like just how frustrating it would be to watch people like James Charles not only talk and think and act this way about people that follow and consume social media, but put it out, constantly give influencers and content creators a bad name, constantly make influencers look so unbelievably out of touch. Like, I cannot imagine how frustrating it would be to be a content creator with other people like that and how that reflects on you and your job as a whole, and especially because it only negatively impacts like the influencers and content creators that put time and effort and thought into their community, into giving back. And she's totally right. Like, it's not just that you had this thought, like, which is like concerning and like enough, right? It's just like enough that he thinks this, but to be so bold and comfortable to set up the camera, be in your little robe and film it, type a little caption, post it. Sure, it's not a huge amount of effort, but it's not no effort. It took some time. It took a couple of thoughts. It took a couple of, synapses to fire to do that, and you did it. But let's continue.
What's particularly annoying about this is that I know ain't nothing gonna happen. I'm not saying that I want something to happen to you, but all I'm saying is as a white man, you can turn on your camera, talk absolutely crazy out the side of your neck, and it's going to warrant zero consequences for you, much like many other things. I don't know what the hell inspired this post, but that was absolutely a terrible take.
Pissed me off, okay? I'm not the one. Go find fucking Mr. Reese. This is literally his entire shtick. He's like, go find that video to compete in, baby. I'm not helping you. I'm not fucking helping you. All you did was lost your job, okay? Welcome to the real world. What are we gonna do? Nothing!
I just feel like to never have to have entered the workplace yourself and to say something like this takes an insane amount of privilege. It's just literally oozing from this video, from his damn flat top. I'm confused. I'm confused what you thought we was gonna get from that. But that was absolutely terrible and you really should have kept it. It's honestly very rare that I respond to other influencers' scandals or when they get dragged. Like, it has to be something that directly affects me. I feel like I caught a stray because what in the world was that? And I think I also just have a problem. Like, right now we have a gender pay gap. We have a race pay gap. I've literally been dragged for much less. It begs the question, like, how comfortable do you have to be to get to that point to where you just are saying it with your chest? I think this was disgusting. You may need to clear that GoFundMe just for what you did. I'm sorry. I've lived through every era of the beauty industry. Literally every era, the worst of the worst. That's probably one of the worst things I've ever seen an influencer say willingly on camera. Also, I have to say this, we've been down this road before. When other influencers mess up in the public eye, do not tag me in these scandals and expect me to respond to everybody. I'm absolutely not. I am not the beauty community school principal. This one really pissed me off. This will definitely not become a pattern. I'm sorry, I just had to say something.
She is so right that this cannot be like understated how outrageous it was that James not just thought these thoughts, but posted to a platform of nearly 3 million people where that content can very quickly go viral, go to other people. Like, it's very, very concerning that he felt that comfortable. And I think that's a very good point that she brings up. But let's move into a couple of other people's responses to the situation.
As a full-time influencer, content creator, video maker, internet personality person, I'd like to tell everyone else that has done this full-time, especially if this is all you've ever done, to shut the fuck up. Because I've never had a blue check, but I've had a blue collar. I've been working since the age of 5. My dad was a landscaper, pulled a lot of weeds, mowed a lot of lawns. My friends would come outside from their houses wearing their headsets, holding their controllers, saying, "Mario, what are you doing here?" And I'd say, "Your chores." Our house ran on a wood stove, so we had to cut down, chop up, split, and stack wood just for heat. Then I worked at restaurants, bussing tables, waiting tables, cleaning dishes, graduated high school, joined the military, and spent the last 10, 11 years working a military firefighter schedule, 24 on, 24 off, 48 on, 48 off, 365 days out of the year. Went overseas a few times. Long story short, I've worked a lot. In the past year, I've been doing content full time. And let me tell you, if I were to turn on the audience that has given me the privilege, the luxury to live the life that I've lived and use them as material, especially if this is all I've ever done, if all I ever did was make videos, get ready with myself, whatever, and tell them how to live their lives and degrade them, make fun of them, make jokes about them, disrespect them, there's nothing more out of touch. There's nothing more unintelligent that you could do as someone that does this full time. I literally can't wrap my brain around it because you're an alien on a different planet. If all you've ever done is your makeup, your hair, cooked your food, come spend the day with me, your tutorials, your jokes, your sketches, that's fine and dandy. Good for you. But you better be appreciative for the people that have given you the luxury to do that.
Mario's video so perfectly sums up like a real concerning outcome that we're seeing of influencers like James. And I do feel like he's kind of more unique considering he's like from the YouTube era. I feel like a lot of the 2010s influencers did have other jobs. And I think it's also why maybe people felt like they were more relatable was because they were just kind of people that had jobs, were studying, were very much part of just like everyday life, and then over time became influencers. But because James was like 16, 17 when he became an influencer, like this is truly the only job he's ever had. I think it is showing a really concerning unintended consequence of people just going from living in a bubble as like a teenager and then just being thrown into success, monetary success, and also like the adoration of fame and like becoming a role model. Like the combination of those two things when shown towards someone that behaves and acts like James is very concerning because there is no gratefulness, there is no thankfulness. He so quickly removes himself from everybody else and most people's reality and looks down upon them. And I don't say that to say that inherently you would become like this if you never had a real job, but I do think given the wrong, or I guess probably wrong set of circumstances, when you combine becoming an influencer so young, never having a real job or a minimum wage job, or struggling for money, combined with the mindsets that James seems to display, that is the real issue. And I think it is creating a really concerning landscape and only exacerbating the landscape between audiences and influencers, and only making other creators look worse, tarnishing the whole industry. And I just think that Mario's video really did perfectly encompass that and really did perfectly pinpoint why we see this behavior from James time and time again. But let's now watch this next video.
There is something surreal about hearing a multi-millionaire influencer in 2026 scream, "Just get another job," at somebody who just got laid off, as if applying for work today is still a matter of walking into a shop with a printed CV and a handshake. Whether or not you think random influencers should be funding strangers through GoFundMes is almost beside the point. The way he responded in this video says a lot about how detached some wealthy internet personalities have become from the reality of modern work. He genuinely talks about applying for jobs like it's a 30-second inconvenience, instead of the soul-crushing algorithmic nightmare that millions of people are currently stuck in. We live in a world right now where people send out hundreds of applications and hear nothing back. Entry-level jobs demand years of experience. Companies post fake listings to collect data or look like they're growing. Entire industries are laying people off by the tens of thousands while simultaneously complaining that nobody wants to work anymore. And in the middle of all that, you've got somebody who became famous as a teenager through YouTube fame telling laid-off workers that they're lazy pieces of shit because they dared ask for help online. I really hate how a chunk of wealthy people have this really ugly assumption that poverty or financial struggle is mostly a personal moral failure, that if you're struggling you simply didn't try hard enough. It's the same mindset you constantly see from rich people who haven't had to exist in the normal labour market for years. They forget what life actually feels like when your rent is due, your savings are gone, and you're competing against thousands of other people and applicants for jobs that barely pay enough to survive anyway. The irony is that influencers themselves exist in one of the least stable industries imaginable. Views fluctuate, algorithms change overnight, sponsors disappear, audiences move on. Most creators openly talk about burnout, instability, and how quickly internet fame can collapse. And yet, somehow, there's still this bizarre tendency among most of them to look down on ordinary workers as if their own careers weren't built on timing, luck, platform algorithms, and audiences choosing to care about them. It's even worse when you remember that James Charles has already spent years trying to rebuild his own public image after multiple controversies involving inappropriate behaviour allegations with minors. You would think someone who has spent that long asking the public for grace, understanding, and second chances might approach other people with at least a little bit of empathy. But instead, he shows his true colours as someone who has become so insulated by wealth and internet celebrity that he genuinely cannot comprehend how difficult life has become for normal people over the last few years. Because when someone loses their job during mass layoffs and your instinctive reaction is to publicly mock them for struggling, you're just an asshole.
This creator so eloquently nailed so many points on the head, right? So many aspects of why this is such an issue and why people are so frustrated by this situation. But I think kind of the ultimate frustration that people do have is because this isn't the first time we're seeing James behave this way. However, it's so frustrating to watch now because we all know that nothing is going to amount to this. Like Jackie said, nothing is going to change. It's like James Charles has become LaRue bulletproof around these things and really can say and do anything. And it's baffling. This isn't just a once-off. This is not just, oh, whoopsie, you had a bad day. You know, just like a little oopsie-doopsie, like little blip in my mind. No, this is just another thing, the cherry on top of, we do this every year. James, did you learn nothing? Like, it's just the latest example in a pattern of behavior that James Charles has demonstrated over his career. And it's so frustrating because we now know, after seeing it happen time and time again, that he can truly come online and say some awful, degrading and insulting and out of touch things, knowing that him saying that is really going to be inconsequential to his career because of the amount of times that he has done it before. Which does lead me into the speed round. I'll try my best, I promise. A little refresher course, if you will, of this pattern of behavior and of many things, not all. I'm sure it's not all. I know it's not all. But the kind of major things that James Charles has done over the years, what I found so crazy bananas is I literally uploaded a video this time last year. Literally this time last year, I think it was like on the 15th of May, because of James adding to this pattern of behavior. But we will get to that example, but we have to go back to the beginning, back to 2017, because 2017 is where it started it all, and where I think we see so many of these patterns forming. And I think at that time, people excused a lot because they were like, he is young, he's barely an adult, like he's a teenager. And we didn't have a decade's worth of this behavior repeating itself, of history repeating itself. However, James Charles is 27 in a couple of weeks, so he doesn't get to have the excuse of, I'm young, it was a one-time thing, this isn't, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm changing. So not only do you not have the excuse of being a young teenager anymore, but there is also proof that you don't change or learn or grow from this behavior. So let's go back to the Ebola tweet, shall we? It was 2017, James Charles was the cover girl, and he was going on a trip to South Africa. And he tweets on February 16th, 2017, quote, I can't believe we're going to Africa today. OMG, what if we get Ebola? Unquote. Next quote, James, we're fine. We could have gotten it at Chipotle last year. ... upside down smiley face. And this tweet actually resulted in James losing his cover girl, cover boy, sponsorship, not just because of this insensitive tweet, but because of the way that he went to double down. He went on to respond to a tweet that said, at James Charles, sorry that people didn't find it funny that the only thing people associate with Africa is a deadly disease. And his response to that was, do not put words in my mouth. Holy I cannot wait to not have cell service for 10 days so I don't have to deal with Twitter. It's a tale as old as time. It's, life imitating art, imitating James Charles doing the same thing over and over again, 10 Piggly Wigglies down before reflecting and why I can't find his second apology video sincere. Because he then goes on to say, I'm extremely sorry. Regardless of my intentions, words have consequences. James, take your advice. Words have consequences. I take full responsibility and will learn and do better. That's his favorite. He doesn't learn in the wider context of his words, how he puts out his words, the way he talks about people, the things that he thinks is a joke. It's literally 9 years later, same, different days. It was a big drama at the time because, he stopped being a cover boy. And he was, I think, the first ever cover boy. But so then we go into 2018 when he has this collaboration with Morphe and people tweet him and point out to him that they are having staining on their eyes from the red and pink shades. Just a moment for the class, just a moment for guesses if you don't remember. What does James do? Does he nicely do a video explaining, showing, talking about why that would happen? No, don't be silly. He instead makes that person feel small, belittles them, and says that everybody knows that pinks and reds stain because they're pigments, and basically just trying to make out like this person is a fool that doesn't understand makeup, instead of actually answering the question, instead of just kindly and calmly responding, don't be silly. So then the next thing that happened in 2018 into 2019 was when he had another, if you can believe it, crash out on Twitter because Netflix announced that in 2019 that they were doing a docuseries on the makeup industry, and one of the episodes was going to include Marlena Stell. The girls that know that name know that name. She was like an OG in the makeup kind of space and had the brand Makeup Geek. And so because she was a brand owner and had experience in creating products, it actually did make nickels, dimes, and cents, yes it did, to have her in that episode because that's what the episode was about. But did James think that? No, don't be silly. Instead, he responds to Marlena Stell's tweet that says, filming today for a special documentary that airs in 2019 with Netflix. And James says, this woman knows nothing about the industry other than blaming her bad business decisions and personal issues on influencers. At Netflix, this is absurd, and I'd love to get in a room together to show you the non-biased outline I've already made on the subject that documents all the sides. Yeah, no, that does make sense that 21-year-old James that has done a Morphe collaboration would be the most well-versed person to speak to Netflix about making a brand and products and counterfeit products. Yeah. Totally. And so then again, we have an apology, but it's a bit backhanded because they then went on to tweet, "I regret how I handled things yesterday on Twitter regarding Marlene Estelle and Netflix. I've apologized to Marlene privately, but I do owe her a public apology too, and I'm sorry for undermining her. I acted childishly out of anger and I shouldn't have blamed her for participation. I do not, however, apologize for being passionate about the industry I work in and for wanting my community and followers to be able to make educated decisions based on factual, unbiased information. I look forward to the doc and hope to speak with her soon about our opposing viewpoints." If we knew then what we know now, I think we would have such a different perspective, and I think truly maybe James's career would have been stopped in his tracks. But I think because he was so young at the time and people just thought, he's young, he's learning, he's tweeting out of emotions, people had no idea that these mentalities, the way that he talks down to people, the way that he thinks he is and knows better, like all of those mentalities and mindsets really ring through all of these situations. But now we have the hindsight, we have it because it's 2026 of this is not a once-off. But then of course we go into 2019, which was the year of Yes by Sister. It was rare and it was started all because of Sugar Bear Hair and all because James Charles wanted artist passes to Coachella and Sugar Bear Hair was happy to give them to him, which then, as we know, caused Tati to crash out, caused Gabrielle Zamora to call her out and say, if you're going to call people out on Snapchat, you should come with receipts. And so then she posted the infamous video, Bye Sister. I feel like, when you're like, what's a show that you could rewatch again? I feel like that is a video I wish I could rewatch for the first time. I wish I could rewatch Lost again for the first time, and I wish I could rewatch Bye Sister. But of course, Bye Sister was not just about vitamins and gummies. It also included Tati exposing James Charles's inappropriate behavior. And you did it at my birthday dinner, talking about sucking. And this is really where the kind of conversation around James's inappropriate behavior towards men and dating and all of that stuff, it really started to be talked about more publicly. But I think unfortunately with what we know now from 2026 is that a lot of the other things that were brought up during Bye Sister were unfounded. Shane and Jeffrey, as we all know, got involved and it turned into a big mess. And I think also because James made a video, I think it was called No More Lies, he was able to bring receipts about a lot of things that Tati had said about him in regards to the Sugar Bear Hair situation. And I think what got conflated during that was that everything was untrue. Everything was unfounded. The whole thing was made up. And after Bye Sister, there was no true winners, but James really did redeem himself. And I think what he learned from this is that muddiness is the key, and it's okay if people know that you were cancelled as long as it's with the mindset of but what was he cancelled for, or that there was a lot of lies amongst it, so no one actually knows what the truth is. But that then really takes us into 2020, where he was, of course, one of the influencers that was partying and collabing with no disclaimers. He was called out for partying on his birthday, and he basically just kind of tried to brush it away. What also happened around that time was James Charles, for some reason, went on the Impulsive podcast and he had a Freudian slip, which, oh my God, the foreshadowing. He admitted to flying guys out who were in high school to visit him in LA because he wants to date him and because he's so desperate to date people. But he kind of tried to brush it under the rug and be like, college, they're young, they don't have money, whatever. But he definitely did say high school, and that definitely came to fruition and came to light in 2021, where he was mass exposed for sending, DMing just so many inappropriate messages towards 18, barely 18 and underage guys, and very inappropriate in nature, right? And there are so many diabolical aspects to this, but he was also doing it through his verified account. So also adding, using his celebrity, using his influence to get attention and to have a relationship with these boys. And what does he say in his video, holding myself accountable? Yeah, he says it's because he was so desperate, and he's going to become a security guard and be really strict and serious about making sure people are definitely 18. Not ever questioning using social media or how weird and inappropriate it is to fly out people that you don't know to LA, use your influence, use your verified accounts to be doing this from, or just sending this type of content to people that you don't know and don't have a rapport and trust with. No. It was just basically saying I was desperate. Again, unfortunately, what happened in this situation, like with Bye Sister, is there were also fake stories. So I think there were actually a lot of people who believed that all of the stories were untrue, or people were making things up, or people were trying to trick James. It wasn't that James was doing anything wrong, but in fact, people were trying to trick James to get these photos and videos and messages from him to expose him. It unfortunately very much detracted from the situation. It very much turned it again into a muddy situation where people didn't know what was true, and James definitely used that to his advantage. And even though he said he was holding himself accountable, in 2023 he was caught hitting on people that were underage on TikTok Live, again with his verified account. So, you know, some people might say, you live, you learn. Not James. He didn't even learn, even though he takes accountability, he's learning, he's growing from these situations. In those situations, he didn't even learn from those exact situations to not make those mistakes again. So in 2023, it was further confirmed that he is still behaving this way, but it was very much giving, you know, what's the Taylor Swift quote? You know, the joke is, the punchline goes, you're getting older, but the girls you date stay my age, whatever. You know, every year James is getting older, but he's still DMing people maybe 18-year-olds. But the age gap is only getting worse, and it keeps happening time and time again, and he's not learning from it. And he's not seeing the true issues with this behavior. And 2023 was also the year that the diabolical Cosmopolitan article came out, where he was like, guys, please, don't cancel me anymore. I would like to be no longer cancelled. I think I've had enough of being cancelled. Imagine having to get a full-time job. Blech, yuck. No, just please uncancel me. And what I did and still find very frustrating about that article, it had the sentiment of like, I talked to a bunch of people in the office and they were like, oh yeah, James Charles, he's been cancelled. But I couldn't remember what for. And very much being like, oh, there's so much confusion and muddiness and people not knowing what's true and untrue, and kind of using that to conclude, like, if we can't remember what he's cancelled for, or if people don't know what's true and untrue, maybe we should just uncancel him. Also, his makeup brand is coming out. So like I said earlier in the video, that was his plan when he kind of lost his job, quote unquote, when people actually genuinely stopped following him, stopped interacting with him, were very much calling him out at the peak of calling him out, and he stopped posting. His big plan, big idea was to just wait and then do an interview with Cosmo. Yeah, but yes, if you can believe it, even an interview with Cosmo didn't really stop this pattern of behavior, because in 2025, it was exposed that James Charles was supportive of Kayla Malik, who is another influencer on TikTok. She went through a breakup and, in few words, but still did tell James about the breakup at the time and told him that just think of the worst thing that someone could ever do to you. That's what my ex did to me. Even using the A word, A-B-U-S-E word, and saying, you know, the worst thing that you could imagine. What did James do with this information? Well, at the time, he responded to Kayla being like, oh, can I have him now? But then after that, he supported this person that was A-B-U-S-I-V-E to Kayla, and proven in court so. James became his mentor and supported them and flew them out to LA, and then was exposed for it and only responded to it because that person got brought to court and was found out, and was basically trying to turn it around and saying that everyone's making it a circus and turning it into, oh, talking about James Charles and taking away from Kayla's story. Like, no, basically completely and utterly minimizing that this is the same behavior, the same different day that we saw time and time again, 2023, 2021, 2019, pick a year. There's probably an example of this behavior. But this was an example where it was someone that you worked with your brand and was a colleague, friend, you know, a co-worker type friend. You knew them professionally, and your instinct, once that person tells you that they've broken up with them, is to support that ex because you think they're good looking. Another video that James posted in 2025 that is very much giving the same energy is he had a full-on crash out. They're called truncated domes. Basically, you know, at the end of a sidewalk or a footpath, there's like a strip of yellow and there are lots of little circular bumps. He had a full-on crash out because, and I kid you not, he said it makes his groceries have a seizure. And why would he want that after spending $200 on groceries to have to wheel his trolley over it? And then also complaining about how they're there at airports as well. Maybe it's because those are there to help people. Maybe it's because those help people who are visually impaired. Maybe did you think that there is a reason for those things that really don't impact your life? And this video truly has the exact same air and energy that this 2026 situation did. And it's like he's literally vlogging and talking and whinging and complaining about this, filming himself while getting into his like brand new Mercedes. But gosh forbid he has to go over the little bumpy bumps that actually really help people and that actually have a genuine serious use. But again, that never occurred to him. That never crosses his mind. Instead, his knee-jerk reaction is to think, this thing really pisses me off and I'm going to post a video about it and rant about it. And I know there are many other examples that could have been added to this list. I know Jen Loves has done a lot of deep dives on James Charles, but I do think, and tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm being silly Billy, I do think at this point this is enough examples to prove that pattern of behavior, to prove that yes, James maybe knows how to say the right thing to come across sincere, but time and time again he's shown his behavior is not of someone growing, learning, comprehending, changing, seeing the root of the problem. What a lot of people find incredibly just disappointing. There is no consequence to this, right? There is no consequence, and if anything, the adding to the list doesn't even change anything. It doesn't change anybody's minds. And if anything, people act as if it's just muddying the water. We're making things confusing. What was he even cancelled for? People are always being so critical. Like, instead of seeing the behavior for what it is, and instead of being able to ignore the instances when people, which really frustrates me and I don't agree with, make stuff up. Like, that's, it really grinds my gears that people made up stories to make the situation seem bigger. The situation is already bad enough. You don't actually need to make stuff up for it to be valid, and if anything, it's only done more harm than good, because now people don't know what's true. Now people think that the audience, the internet, whoever overreacts. Now there is an exhaustion around James Charles and people trying to hold him accountable and wanting to see any sort of actual change, any sort of repercussions for the action, because it happens so many times. It seems to happen often during May. It's an annual thing at this point, right before his birthday for some reason. But I think that is the most frustrating and disappointing thing about this entire situation, is that it often feels in vain, and is that it feels like, you know, people can gather the information, show that this isn't a one-off thing, show that he truly believes those things. It has no consequence, and ultimately his platforms still have millions of followers. He is so insulated and out of touch. Not only does nothing change, but he continues on to be a role model, an influencer, someone to look up to for so many people, even after showing this behavior. And if anything, showing to people that this behavior gets rewarded. Being selfish, condescending, you know, derogatory, unkind, like whatever descriptor you want to use. And those behaviors and mindsets he is showing to his audience and to young people and aspiring influencers and content creators. Hey, this gets rewarded. You'll never believe it, guys. You don't even have to be a good or nice person or the person that you look up to. I get rewarded for being an unkind person time and time again. Like, I think that is why people are so frustrated. Beyond the fact that this video was the latest example of just like an absurd mindset that he has, and the absurd fact that he felt so comfortable to post it, but the fact that we know he will continue on to be a role model and to have a platform for young people, and those are the beliefs that he continues to hold, 10 years later, and that is the way he treats people. But yes, I would love to know all of you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. So please. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. If you stayed till the end, you are a real one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to join the channel membership too, but you definitely don't have to, only if you want to. You get 2 bonus videos every month, and you get a cool badge, and you get to be a chatinator, but it's absolutely no pressure. And if you want to keep up with me but doing my uploads, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and I'll link my vlog channel down below. And YouTube should be recommending another one of my videos on the screen right now. But don't you worry guys, because I'm not funny there either. Bye.